Okay, here's my public records or FOIA request. It came white in a PDF form 4 or 5 days after I requested it. Out of Gold Weems, Bruiser, Susan Rundle, a professional law corporation in Alexandria, Louisiana. What is that, 100 miles from here? So it starts out with my name, and then I took screenshots. Public record request. Dear requester, the law firm represents the city of Natchitoches. As it relates to your public records request, please allow this correspondence to serve as the city's response to the public records request. In your requests, you asked for copies of the following: employment information for officers who responded to or were involved with any calls for service or dispatched to the Natchitoches Police Public Library at any time on January 22nd, with their full name and date of hire, training records. It's herein who received training as required by Louisiana statute to act as a public police officer, to include the dates when training was conducted, the name or title of the training, the number of hours for each course, where the training was conducted, the name of the institution and or instructor who provided the training, disciplinary records of each of the officers identified, salary and benefits of each of the officers, all audio and video of individually body-worn cameras, if any officers responded or involved in the call, for any reason regardless of whether they made contact with anyone or entry, all audio and video of patrol car digital video and audio recordings or in-car cameras of each of the officers identified, dispatch and call recording of telephone call initiating the police response to the Natchitoches Library. Okay, now, okay, I have to skip around. I think I got it. Number 4, dispatch and call recordings of telephone calls initiating the police response to the Natchitoches Library, CAD or computer-aided dispatch logs, messages, communication responses pertaining to any calls for service or dispatch to the Natchitoches Library. Natchitoches Police Department operate under or use any operating policy by and through the administration of the chief, approved by the city. Please provide a copy of this policy in its entirety. All email communications under the control of the police in the city, which mention me at any and all time of the dates for use of any likeness of my name, internal cameras, or how about the likeness of Mr. Claiborne, internal cameras and audio of all camera audio devices in the Natchitoches Police Department jail area, Sally Port intake and processing on and between January 22nd through January 25th, pretty much when I was arrested and in jail and released from arrest to release. The public records doctrine is not an absolute or unqualified privilege. Your request as written and at least in part may infringe upon the constitutionally protected privacy interests of third parties. See City of Baton Rouge vs. Capital City Press, Beckett vs. Surplus. Alright, I'm going to go back. Additionally, your requests directly implicate information that Louisiana courts have held may be protected from public disclosure. And there's a list of further your requests as written and at least in part may concern certain information. The city has a duty to segregate under Louisiana law. Additionally, your requests are impermissibly and overly broad. Oh, I'm being accused. Insofar as you seek information regarding disciplinary records and records that were ultimately dismissed, found to be erroneous or frivolous or otherwise unstained or I think he means unsustained and unsubstantiated, unstained, huh? Such material directly implicates information that Louisiana courts have held are protected from public disclosure. Alright. Further, the city is not required to create or generate new documents in response to your request. Under Louisiana law, municipalities are not required to create new documents in response to public record requests. For example, in Nungesser v. Brown 96, the Louisiana Supreme Court concluded a custodian correctly denied a public records request when the requester requested a list which did, now am I going to get this right? Which did complete your request. No, I did not. Which did not exist. The Louisiana Supreme Court stated that a public entity is not required to produce a list which did not exist and properly refused the request. Further, your request is another vague accusation and ambiguous regarding the term employment information and training. Too vague for... At this time, the city is unable to determine with certainty precisely which information and records you are requesting. Also, the law 44.3 specifically prohibits the disclosure of video or audio recordings from body-worn cams that the custodian find violates any individual's reasonable expectation of privacy. In addition, your requests directly implicate information that may otherwise be confidential and are privileged from disclosure under Louisiana law. Further, you have requested records that may be expressly precluded from disclosure under 44.3, which prohibits disclosure of records pertaining to actual pending criminal litigation or any criminal litigation which can be reasonably anticipated. 44.3 prohibits disclosure of records containing security procedures, investigative training, information or aids, investigative techniques, and investigative technical equipment or instructions on the use thereof. Accordingly, as it relates to your voluminous requests, it will take the city up to 60 days to segregate. They love that word in Louisiana. Redact, examine, and or review the materials you have requested. We hope to provide a more detailed response to your request sooner than the estimated 60 days. However, if more time is required to complete your request, you will be notified in writing of the updated time estimate. So there's no right. Complete your request. You'll be notified in writing. Okay. If you have any questions regarding a response or would like to modify your request, please do not hesitate to contact me via email. With kind personal regards, I remain Joshua Dara. So this is a lot different than my experience in North Dakota. North Dakota got those records. I got the complaints against Officer Cruz, and Ravaska apparently had none. But I got Officer Cruz's and Ravaska's training records and pay. I knew their pay. They were able to find that. But in Louisiana, look at this nonsense. They're totally denying it in Louisiana. I got the same kind of charge in North Dakota. And they're a lot more secretive in Louisiana. This makes it tough to defend myself with the lack of information about what is going on in that police station. They are making everybody, the public, entirely clueless.